We're going to talk about Alzheimer's, a devastating disease, affects countless families, but could almost half of dementia cases be avoided if we all just made 12 simple lifestyle changes? And that's what leading dementia scientists are suggesting. Dr. Zoe is here. You know my experience in my own family with Alzheimer's. I'm always very nervous and sometimes quite sceptical when I see a great big headline, a miracle cure for Alzheimer's, because I worry that everybody who's going through that thinks, oh, thank goodness, something that can help my family member. Then you read it and say, well, trials and maybe in 15 years. So what's this breakthrough and what's the new news?
So we'll come on to the lifestyle factors in a moment, but yeah, there's been some groundbreaking news around a new drug. This drug's called aducanumab, and it actually works on the problem in the brain with Alzheimer's. So in Alzheimer's, you get this beta amyloid deposits.
Proteins, is that the protein?
They're proteins, yeah. Exactly, yeah. So this drug actually breaks down those proteins.
Because it's the proteins that stop the messages in your brain.
Exactly, they do that, and then they also cause the brain cells to die as well. So this drug acts on the beta amyloid, and what's groundbreaking about it is, one, it therefore actually slows down the progression of the disease rather than the drugs which we have currently really just treat the symptoms. But also it's got to a stage where the FDA in America are looking at potentially giving it a licence. They're reviewing it, which means
it says
it's
being kind of fast-tracked because everybody's talking about it and thinking this could be a real breakthrough.
Yeah, so normally we sit here and we celebrate when drugs are going into phase 3 trials, and we know that it takes usually about another 10 years then before they might be granted a licence. This is close to getting a licence, but I think, as always, you know, we don't want to give people false hope. This is a drug that's going to be very expensive. It's only really going to be suitable for people in very early stages of dementia, and at the moment they need quite high doses, which also come with a lot of side effects. So there's a lot of work to be done, and I still think there's quite a bit of time, probably a couple of years before we'll be looking at
prescription. Well, we want to talk about these changes that are being signposted. How many did you say, Ruth?
There were always 9, I think, and they've added some more. So 12 signposts to say these are things you could do which could hopefully prevent you from getting dementia and Alzheimer's in the first place.
That's right. So last week, the new Lancet Commission around preventing dementia came out. In 2007, they identified 9 modifiable lifestyle risk factors, and they've increased that now to 12. So the new ones are around pollution, head injuries and excessive alcohol intake.
Pollution's interesting because that's been mentioned before, and I've never heard, never heard that confirmed, that pollution could be a factor.
Yeah, so pollution's a factor, and of course it's quite difficult, especially if you live here in London, to avoid pollution altogether. But taking simple steps like avoiding main roads, if you're cycling or walking, you're actually exposed to less pollution usually than if you're in a car. And the worst thing you can do is be in a car sat in stationary traffic. That's when you're exposed to the most pollution. But a direct link between pollution and risk of dementia, I think, is going to put a lot of pressure on agencies and the government to start taking steps to reduce pollution, especially around key areas like schools. So there are 12, so I'll sort of get into them. So the first 3 are around unhealthy habits, and I'm not going to lecture people on unhealthy habits. We all know smoking is bad for us, eating junk food is bad for us. In fact, obesity is linked to increased risk in dementia, and drinking too much booze is bad for us. So this is another reason for people to try and be healthy. When it comes to booze, interestingly, it's only drinking above 21 units, which is about 2 bottles of wine or 10 pints of lager per week, that's been linked to an increased risk. And actually drinking no alcohol also is found to be increased risk. So drinking in moderation.
So do all of these contribute towards this build-up of plaque that there would be in the brain then, is that?
Not necessarily. No. For a lot of them, it's around the blood supply to the brain. So Alzheimer's is one type of dementia. Over 50% of cases are Alzheimer's dementia, but there are other types as well.
Got you.
Vascular dementia being one important cause. So anything, if you think about it, anything that protects your heart, provides good blood supply to the heart, also protects the brain. So healthy lifestyle. The second one is obviously my passion, which is exercise. The crucial thing about exercise...
You and me both.
When it comes...
Zoe's a very good advert for it, though.
We could go for a walk once a week, but Ruth, you're a great advert for exercise. You're walking, you're skipping. The key thing here is you don't have to do all that much of it to reduce your risk of dementia. So if you want, just once a week, do something like a 20-minute brisk walk, that can reduce your risk by 20%.
What did you say, once a week?
So once a week, exercise once a week, moderate intensity. It's got to get you sweaty and out of breath for 20 minutes, ideally a bit more, can reduce your risk. So a great place for people to start. And you're never too old to start exercising. In fact, the older you are, the more benefit you can get. The third one is about people checking themselves. So this is about diagnosing high blood pressure if you have it and type 2 diabetes. Of course, lifestyle is important, but there's a huge genetic component with both of those diseases. And with both of them, you can have no symptoms. So there are probably 5 million people
worrying,
walking around now with undiagnosed high blood pressure, and that's a ticking time bomb. So make sure you get it checked. Anyone over the age of 40...
Well, as in just go to your GP every so often and get a health check?
Yes. So anyone over the age of 40 is entitled to a free NHS health check every 5 years. Make sure you get it, because it could save your life and reduce your risk of dementia.
Now, this is one that we have heard about, keeping your brain active.
Yeah.
Crosswords, puzzles, you know, reading, anything that just keeps the grey matter ticking over, I suppose.
That's right. And I think most people are aware of that one, aren't we? That in older life, keeping the brain active. So the later in life you retire, the more you reduce your risk of dementia. And for people who do retire, it's really important to keep using your brain, whether that's learning something new, staying in touch with people is really important as well. But this one's also about education levels. So your risk of dementia actually starts in childhood. The more educated you are as a child, the lower your risk of dementia.
I don't understand that link.
Because the more you're educated, the more your brain develops. And once we start getting older, our brain actually shrinks.
Like a
we
muscle.
lose brain cells. So the bigger your brain is and the more complex those networks are in the brain to begin with...
I've never heard that before.
You're starting from a better
Well,
starting
I'm going to be
point.
finding out how much my brain has shrunk pretty soon. I'm going on the chase.
Have you said yes?
Yes, it mightn't have been a wise idea, but I said yes.
You'll be... Well, who knows?
Well, I'll come off and I'll say, well, my brain shrunk, and I'll find out.
Exciting.
Looking
I'll
after
be
your
watching that one.
hearing.
Yeah, so hearing loss that isn't treated can increase your risk of dementia by 90%.
90?
90%. So hearing aids are the solution that we have, you know, in the developed world. We have hearing aids. So if your hearing's affected, get it sorted sooner rather than later with hearing aids. Depression, even if it's 20 years before, can affect and increase your risk of dementia. So, you know, if you are suffering with depression, low mood, see your doctor, get it sorted. Antidepressants actually might be protective against dementia in later life. And then head injuries, final one. And this can be minor head injuries. So concussion and major head injuries, we know that they increase your risk of dementia later in life, but even small head traumas. And this is like people who play football, who regularly head the ball, if that's their thing, could be putting themselves at risk. So don't stop doing the sport, but think about having proper
Or if you're cycling,
head
wear a
protection.
helmet and that thing, yeah.
Exactly.
As we said, none of it is 100% guaranteed it's going to stop, but it's all will hopefully help.
I think that's right. And I think there are so many things there. We can't all be perfect. But of those 12 different factors, if people can focus on one or two, you know, thinking that that's going to reduce your risk of dementia later in life, I think it's a real motivating factor.